Okay. Uh, all right. Hello, everybody. Are you guys there? Our wonderful Ivy leaders. Are you guys present today? If you please, let me see some emojis in the comment section because today is going to be another interesting one. And it's still me, it's Faithful here once again. So if you guys are here, if you guys are present, sorry for the hiccup. Please send us some emojis. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Where are my Ivy leaders? Let me see. Ah, what's happening today? Where are you guys? I'm not seeing anything. No emojis, nothing. You guys, we have a very interesting session today. I need you guys to be here right now because we're going to go into something very, very interesting today. So please, I'd like to see some emojis that you are here. Emojis. So let me know that you are here. Like we have an interesting session to guys to be here. I need you guys to send me emojis here that you are present and ready for us to get started. Because you can't get started if you guys are here, right? My fellow I was being for today's session and that you are ready for us to get started. It is important. Right, I was here last week and so I really, really love it, love it. If you guys could just let me know here. Where are you guys? I need to see that you guys are present. I need to see that are ready to actually learn because this is you're learning a lot. You learn every time that you join this training session, and I need you guys to be excited. I need you guys to be ready because to learn a lot once more, right? Okay, all right. Hi. All right. We do have some people here today. Although you guys are, you know, less than the usual amount, this is different. I, I expected you guys. Okay, now if you guys are here and you're ready, please let me see some fire emojis. Right, put a lot of fire emojis in the comments. I would love that. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I would love
Hi
to
guys.
see that. Please, please,
Good
please,
evening. Favor, can you hear me?
please. So that we can actually get started on what
Okay.
we have today. Because last week,
Okay.
we
If you
spoke
can
a
hear
lot,
me,
asked a
if
lot,
you
a lot
can
of
hear
you
me,
also
please
asked
just
more
the fire
questions,
emoji.
and
All right.
have made. So I'm going to introduce, please, guys, right? Introducing our next speaker, right? And
Put
our
the fire
next speaker
emoji.
is like
Okay, please introduce our next
so
speaker.
excited. Our next speaker is a very interesting person, right? Us actually. Our next my pastor, right? So excited. I'm so excited to have him here today. So let's give you a little bit about him. So Pastor Taiwo Jenny holds a bachelor degree in business management from the University of Jos and an MBA from Strayer University, USA. So you can see our pastor is loaded though. You guys, our pastor is loaded if you don't know. He is a professional member of ICANN and CITN, Currently, he heads the Corporate Planning Division at the Federal Inland Revenue Service. He is also a pastor at the Catholic Church of Central Parish, part of the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Abuja, Nigeria. So, like I said, this is my pastor that is coming here to speak to you guys today. Like, I hope you guys are ready. Um, he is so passionate about empowering Nigerian youth. He organizes the Catalyst roundtable sessions. I believe that if you guys should attend one of the roundtable sessions that we have in church, like you would love it and you will learn so much. And he does it in such a way that everything is so engaging that you cannot just get enough of it, right? And also he has played such an important role for all of us at Ivy League, right? When we brought the whole idea, when we brought everything to him, he was so receptive to it. He was so supportive. We thank you so much, sir. He loves sharing insights for successful living, and he is married to Oluwakemi Ajani. They have two children, Toluwa Lakshe and Esther Ajani. So, you guys, I would love to welcome our next speaker, Pastor Taiwo Ajani, who is going to be speaking to us. I hope you guys are ready and excited. You're welcome, sir. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Favor. It's always nice to see your energy every time. Yeah, and
Thank you, sir.
yeah, you're welcome. And I'm so honored to
You're welcome,
be.
sir.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much for having me with you today. Is a great privilege and honor. You know,
Yes,
as Favor rightly said, one
happy.
of my mandates is to empower people. I mean, there are some ways that we have passed through, and the best legacy we can give is to tell people that are coming ahead and behind us that this is what to avoid and this is what to do, able to get to a place that we have not gotten to. Because the whole purpose of life is to ensure that those that you are mentoring or you're talking to, they do better than you in life.
Yes.
That's where the glory is. So I'm so excited to be here today to share with
Thank
you.
you so much. I'm sure the people are already waiting for us
Yes.
for them to actually gain from your knowledge and everything. So I'm sure they're already
Big
prepared
as
and they are
you.
here. So if you guys are actually excited, just keep dropping the emoji, keep dropping. They are already here and they are waiting for what is about to drop next. So guys, I'm going to leave you guys with
Yes.
our speaker, Mr. Pastor Taiwo
Yeah,
Ajani.
yeah.
And please take your pen and your biro. And I know you guys are going to really jot down so much.
Yes.
So guys, I'll see you after this session. Take care, guys.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's just get started now.
See you.
So today we are talking about conflict. Um, without before going to what conflict resolution is and what conflict management is, I just want to make it clear to every one of us on this line that one of the best things that happen in life is conflict. Without conflict, it's not likely that there will be progress. Without functional conflict, there's no possibility that people will think of what they're doing right now to make it better. So conflict is a great thing if handled properly. And what is conflict? Conflict is just disagreement. I mean, an apathy, not seeing things the way other people are seeing it. Now you say your view is in conflict with the other person's view. So that's exactly what conflict is. Incompatibility or a variance with another person. And that can be good or bad because I can agree with you today and disagree with you tomorrow. Not necessarily that I don't like you. It's because I want things to get better. And in any essence, that itself is a conflict. Now, you guys are leaders. That's why the name of this initiative is called Ivy Lead. Every leader must recognize if a conflict is a good conflict or if it's a bad conflict. And we're going to go through what makes a good conflict and what makes a bad conflict this day today. Well, if there's no conflict, some nations in the world will remain not independent of those who came to colonize them. If there are no conflicts, all the development we're having in tech today, they will not be there. If there are no conflicts, people will not think out of the box to challenge the status quo. People will remain the way they are. If there are no conflicts, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, a great statesman of India, he said, peace is not absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means that matters. So the fact that you see an organization running properly is not because there are no conflicts there. All they've been able to do is that to know how to manage conflict in such a way that they will empower the good conflict and they will reduce the effect of the bad conflict. And you can transfer this to your personal life, your relationships. Because there are some people that their views are not very like your views, but they are there to help you. Now, if you now turn it to conflict resolution instead of conflict management because they are different, it means you remove that person from your life entirely. You just get him out of your way. However, him being there or she being there is helping you. So, as individuals, as leaders, or owner of a business, you must know how to manage conflict. So, let me have the second slide if you're helping me out with the second slide. So, we'll talk on what I have there. Okay. A good conflict is different from a bad conflict. When a conflict is good, it focuses on the future, while bad conflict focuses on the past. So, in an organization, when someone is always not agreeing with what you are saying, but you now realize that what is always saying is about the future, it's about the future, not dwelling in the past, then please manage that conflict. If the conflict around you is about talking about the future, it's a good conflict. But if conflict is about talking about what has gone past, if people keep on talking about what has happened and they are fighting about what has happened, please, that's a conflict to really resolve, not to manage. You end that conflict. You ensure that it's a conflict that you don't empower, it's a conflict that you don't allow to thrive in your life or in your place of work. Because what is past is past. But when people have conflict, they don't agree. But the onus of those disagreement is about the future. Then you have to manage that conflict because something good can come out of that particular conflict. Secondly, a good conflict brings people together, while a bad conflict scatters the people. Whenever there's a conflict, and the end of it is that people part ways, they don't talk to one another again, they are embittered against one another, things crumble, then that conflict is a bad conflict. But when you have a conflict that the moment you start talking about it, people are interested in it, and it brings them together. They are not agreeing, but they are not running away from talking about it. Then please, that's a conflict that you must empower, either amongst your friends, or in the place you work, or in your career. Or maybe some people are just entrusted under you as you being the leader. When you know an argument or a debate is going on and on for days, for weeks, and yet they are more interested in it, please let them continue, manage it, don't kill that conflict. Because the end of that conflict is progress. So a good conflict does not alienate people, does not divide people, it brings people together. That's why I like in the US, everything they call it a debate. If they want to raise a when the tax just by 1%, they'll call it a debate. If they want to talk about an amendment to the law, they call it a debate. So people will come together and start talking about it. And they will talk about it for months, several months. And you see people just contributing. Because that conflict, they don't agree, but that conflict is for to better America. So that's a good conflict. Then again, the third thing is that a good conflict focuses on the issue, doesn't focus on people's character. I'll say that again. A good conflict focuses on the issue. Your purpose is to know how it's been got done, not the people that are doing it. You see, when a conflict talks about people's behavior, their character, their weaknesses, then that's just a cheap gossip. But when a conflict is about what is involved, the issue, the honors, the meat of the matter, regardless of who does it, then that's one conflict for you to manage, not to resolve. Because when you resolve a conflict, you have reduced that conflict. You have killed it. You don't want it to thrive again. But when you manage a conflict, you put in strategies in such a way that you work for the growth of you or for your organization. Now, so how do you resolve a conflict? How do you resolve a conflict? Or when do you resolve a conflict? There are some points in getting conflict resolved. I've already told us that when there's a conflict, it means some people are not agreeing with other people, or two people are not agreeing, or two nations are not agreeing. So, how do you resolve a conflict? Let both sides or both parties tell their story. Let them tell their story. And you have to listen carefully. You have to listen carefully. And you are listening in such a way that you are not biased. I mean, your mind is open. You just want to listen to how reasonable what they are saying. You must be impartial if you want to resolve a conflict. If not, you have destroyed that resolution ab initio. That is why in conflict resolution concept, they will look for an arbitrator or a mediator that is neutral. For example, if the Hezbollah is having issue with Israel, they'll bring America or they bring another nation that will be at least to a degree to be neutral, to be unbiased. So when you have conflict like that, maybe amongst your friends, in your place of work, then you bring somebody that will listen to both sides and will not be partial. Then again, you focus on the events, not the personalities, I told you. Don't just look at the person talking to you and say, wow, I don't like this person's face. I won't listen to his points. No, 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 you destroy everything. I work in a place where some people are, I'm in charge of people. They report to me. I have some reports. They report to me. They have different characters. They have different behavior because they have different backgrounds. And sorry, I didn't talk about that. What brings conflict is that people is because people have different values. They have different behavior. They have different personalities. They have different perspectives to life. Once you have a room full of people that are different, there will be conflicts. So people report to me, and at times I see conflicts almost on a daily basis. Some are conflicts that I try to destroy. I try to kill that conflict because it's dwelling in the past. It doesn't do anything. But there are some conflicts that I cannot reduce. I will just manage it. I know this guy has a point, this one has a point, but what they are talking to help the department or the division. So I will manage that conflict in such a way that yeah, they will still work together, not in total agreement, but to be for the good of the establishment. You understand? So that's what you do there. So as a conflict resolutor, number one, you must not be biased. Number two, you must listen with the open heart. Then number three is that you must identify the main points of disagreement. Listen to know the main point of disagreement. If you don't know the main point of disagreement, the conflict will continue again and again to come up again. That is why when you are resolving conflict, one of the key points is to be a good listener and an apt listener. You must listen well because so many things will be said. You must know the bone of contention. And once you know that, then you are ready. You're almost ready to resolve that conflict. Then next one is that you now have a plan. You have a plan. And that plan involves when you meet them one-on-one to discuss, when you bring them together to discuss. Then if it's a conflict that you have to manage, you don't want to destroy, you don't want to kill that conflict, you don't want to resolve it, you just want to manage it, then you bring them together and tell them that they are saying almost the same thing, that they can work together. You see, when you're a conflict resolutor, you are in a very important, you are like a specialist at that time to think of what they want to do that they cannot communicate well. At that time, you must be their communicator. You must be able to tell this one what this one is saying, tell the other one what this one is actually saying, what it meant, so that they can come together and everything will be well. Because at times, what causes conflict is improper or ineffective communication. So to solve conflict, then you have to be the man in between that will ensure that they really understand one another. And you'll be amazed. They will say, "Oh, I never knew that was how she was looking at it before. I never knew we were seeing almost the same thing." Then you have managed that conflict, and things will continue to go on. Then once you have a plan, you stick to that plan until you ensure that that conflict is managed effectively. Until you know that that conflict is managed effectively. Then what are the benefits? The benefits of managing a conflict. You have so much benefits in it. The first one is that you clear emotional barriers. Yeah, I work with many ladies. Sorry, ladies. It just happens to be the case. Yeah, I work with many ladies where I work. I'm their boss. And most of the time, they don't agree on so many things. There's a particular one that I've noticed amongst them. And there are emotional barriers once that happen. So you, as a person, when you come to manage that conflict, you make sure that that emotional barrier is destroyed to a large extent. You may not be able to take it off totally, but you see, when they see one another, they won't have bad emotions again because you're able to manage them, manage their disagreements. Once it's a functional conflict, not a bad one, you manage it so that when they see each other, they will be able to work together. It takes time to do that. It takes listening. It takes effective communication. It takes calling them to meet you together and allowing them to speak while the other one listen. That's how you resolve conflict. And of course, you have to know what the other one wants, what the other one wants. There's a way you talk to people, you manage people in such a way, you make them feel important just to get it work done. It's part of conflict management. You can't just stand in a place and say you want to resolve a conflict and you just talk to everybody anyhow. Now you better do things right here. We'll close this place down or I'll send you out. No, 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 you won't get anywhere. You have to know how to manage people so that you can get your business going. So that's one of the benefits of um, managing a conflict. The next benefit is that you get to your desired goal as a person or as a business. To your desired goal as a person or as a business. Because one of the principles of managing conflicts is forward looking. Management of conflicts is forward looking. When you get to manage conflict, you get your desired goal as a person or as a business or as a firm. It's a good benefit. So people are happy, emotional barriers are down, then you, as the owner of the business or the leader of the group, things are being done properly. Now, the other side of conflict is conflict resolution. Conflict resolution is different from conflict management because the purpose of conflict resolution is to reduce the conflict or end the conflict or terminate it entirely because it's a bad conflict. It's a bad conflict because it's not a productive conflict. It's a bad conflict because it's a conflict that divides people. It's a bad conflict because it's a conflict that dwells in the past. You don't want conflict that always talk about what has happened. That's a bad conflict. So such a conflict, you resolve it. You resolve that conflict. You find a way to ensure it does not happen again. You don't encourage it at all because it's not going anywhere. And there's so much advantage to that as well. It means you will not be tied to the past. That makes me tell you, if you have a friend or an associate that's always talking about the past, the conflict you'll be having with that person will be a bad conflict. Because the conflict or a view that looks at the back is not progressive. But when you have a people working with you or for you, or your friends, and whatever you discuss every time is forward looking, then you encourage that. Because that's one conflict that will lead you going on and on until you accept. get to where you want to get to. Then, that being said, there's what we call communication communication cost in conflict theory. Communication cost. One of the reasons why you have conflict is because communication breakdown. And when you have communication breakdown, people don't understand one another. They mean good, but the way it's coming out is bad. Then, if you are not careful, a conflict that's supposed to be a good conflict will come out as a bad one. And that will affect you as a person, affect your establishment, affect your goal and purpose. So, the first thing you want to learn as a person so that you can reduce conflict is to know how to communicate effectively. And what is the definition of effective communication? Is that what I said is not misinterpreted. You get it clearly, then that communication is effective. Until there's need or there's priority to get communication effective, there will be what we call communication loss, costs. And cost can be loss in profit, loss of good ends, loss of peace, loss of progress. There's a lot that can happen when communication is not done properly. So, cost of communication is one downside of conflict. If communication is done well, conflict will be reduced. I don't know if I can stop there. If there's any question before I move on to the other things I can talk about, I don't want to just keep on talking. If there's anything you want me to clarify on, you have a question, I can answer them right now. Okay. If there's none, I guess we can move on. As I said, it's either a conflict is or constructive. If it's constructive, you manage it. If it's dysfunctional, you resolve it. You take it off entirely. But if it's functional, you navigate it until you get all the benefits of that conflict. And of course, every business that you see that are thriving today, Mercedes Benz, even Apple, um, the big brands that you have, Facebook, they have conflicts. The day conflicts end in that business, everything will go down. So conflict is not necessarily bad. Depends on what conflict it is. So conflict is not necessarily bad. So the business you see are trying for 25 years or 50 years is because they kept on having conflict. For example, you have the Gen Z generation, you have the millennials, then you have the baby boomers of the 40s. You see, when a new generation comes, there's conflict between them and the older generation. And you realize the world is just getting better. I mean, in career, in business, and all that, because those who come again after the old one, they challenge the status quo, and that's good conflict. It's forward looking. Just imagine that when the baby boomers came in the 1940s, nobody challenged their views. Nobody challenged what they are doing. They just kept on doing the things from the Industrial Revolution in Europe, and nobody came to challenge what they are doing. It means there's no conflict. And if there's no conflict, there's no progress. So conflict is needed in our lives. There must be conflict. When conflicts come, when you resolve the conflict, then you see more possibilities. And that's how we make progress in life. If there are no conflicts, there will be no progress at all. I talked about this initially. Good conflicts bring people together, but bad conflicts alienates people and divides people. All right. When a conflict is bad, you resolve it. When a conflict is good, you manage it. Bring both sides together when you resolve the conflict. Then don't focus on the people, focus on the issue and stick to the plan. All right. And managing good conflict. You have to increase understanding. Increase understanding comes when you manage a good conflict. Purpose of managing conflict is to increase learning. I've learned some things in my life and in my journey. The conflict I had down the line. There are some mistakes I cannot make again because conflicts came, it was resolved, was well managed, and I learned from it. Even in my place of work, there are some things, some views I held, but when other people came and challenged my views, even as a boss, I learned some new things. So when you manage conflict, a good conflict, you learn. You learn a lot from it. And when you manage a good conflict, it improves trust. Improve trust. Have you ever? I'm sure you have heard that it was when they fought that they became good friends after that. There are some friendships that don't get stronger until there are conflicts. So when the conflict happens, people trust one another more. They understand one another. I used to have a friend, a lady, you know, we went for a course. So the course took like 1 month. So we were all in the hotel and we'll go to eat together and all that, and we do the exams. We are just three of us, myself and these two ladies, just just friends. That's all. So things began to happen, and she totally misrepresented me. She misunderstood me entirely. She didn't know the kind of person I was. So she made some misjudgments and she made some decisions in that line. So we had some conflict, but we were able to resolve it. I will tell you today, me and that lady were very, very, very good friends because the conflict that came between us was a good one. We were able to resolve it and we can forge ahead. So there's learning, there's trust whenever there's conflict. Don't run away from conflict. If it's a good one, it will bring up something better. The conflict increases creativity. It broadens your mind. As I told us, these businesses that are booming today is because the conflicts are there and they were able to resolve it effectively. Please let me know if my time is first. I'm still with the time. Then again, when you meet, it improves group cohesion. Group cohesion. You don't want to be in a place where people don't voice out their 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 views. You don't want to be in a room where everybody just keep to themselves. Either it's bad they will talk, if it's good they will not talk. No, there will never be any progress in such a situation. But when you have a group of people that are passionate with what they believe in, they will tell you what they believe. You tell them what you believe. There will be conflict. You resolve it. That's how you move on in life. So there will be group cohesion when you are working with a team that don't run away from conflict. The best team in life are teams that don't run away from conflict. But when you find a team that's always conflict adverse, I mean, they are adverse to conflict, they can never be progress. There will never be team cohesion. I would rather be with people that don't really agree on anything, but their mind is to do something good. That's where I want to be. All I need to do is just to manage them, and the place will grow. Everybody will be happy. They will realize they are there for the same purpose. That does not mean they will not disagree again tomorrow. They will, but it's for a good cause. It's a good one. So when you have conflict management like that, it engender improve cohesion in your team member. So I want you to look into your team you have now, and if anyone is there that does not really agree with your point of view, not because they don't like you, they just have a strong opinion, then you're able to come and ensure that everybody work together as a team. So in conflict management, it's vital to keep discussions civil. When you're managing conflict, keep your discussion civil. Don't use words that will aggravate the already person that always feel cheated, already felt cheated. Don't use words that will whip up emotion. Be civil in resolving the conflict or managing it. Don't be personal, but encourage togetherness. You understand? And discuss what is what is beneficial. So when you discuss, when you're resolving conflicts, one important thing is communication, and you use that communication in discussion. When effective discussion in resolving conflict, emotional barrier is reduced, as I told us. You have to be open-minded, listen attentively, use negative word to be assertive. Yeah. When you want to, when you are resolving conflict, you have to be assertive. Yeah. When you have made up your mind how it's going. You have made a plan, you have listened to both of them, then be assertive. Yeah, be considerate in your assertive, because you at that time you're a conflict manager, because you keep on checking it out. You keep on checking the solution you thought is as an antidote to that disagreement. So you have to be assertive about it. Once you have realized that there's always conflict the way this person talks to this other person, be assertive to always correct her every time she goes off track. That's how you help conflict. You have to be assertive, but you have to also be humane and considerate in it. I've spoken about concept of communication costs. If communication is not effective, there's a lot you lose. So learn communicate. Read books about communication. Listen to yourself when you talk. You can stand before a mirror and talk to yourself for some minutes. See how you talk. See how they come at times. See, you have to think of what you want to say at times so that it doesn't come out in a wrong way, which will bring some conflict. So the rule there is that you think before you speak. You think before you speak. Always be kind in your conversation. No matter how hot you are, be kind in your conversation. Be gracious and be gentle in your speaking. Then with that, you can reduce conflict. So effective communication can be an efficient tool to prevent conflicts and to resolve and effectively manage conflicts. Conclusion. Usually the end goal of conflict management is better learning and to update your processes and to have a culture that's open-minded in your organization or in your group, all of which are inherently positive and useful factors to organizational life. Now, it's the duty of the leader, your leaders, it's your duty to recognize whether a conflict is bad or is good. You have to recognize if conflict is dysfunctional or is constructive. If it's dysfunctional, you resolve it so that it doesn't come up again. You resolve it. But if it is constructive, you manage it. How do you resolve a conflict? You discourage it entirely. You discourage it. You call the party that is bringing up a negative conflict and you tell them to stop it. You discourage it entirely. You can use so many things to discourage people. Maybe it's a working place, way to get people to do certain things. You just apply a little bit of maybe carrot and stick if you're in that position to do it. Or you call them, let them know that this is not the way this organization is run. This is not the purpose of this organization. It's running contrary to the goals and visions of this place. And be consistent about it until that mindset is removed. That is conflict resolution. Or you call the two parties that have that kind of conflict, which is bad, and you let them know this conflict is not taking anybody anywhere. End it. That's a bad one. But if it's a good conflict, you don't destroy it. You manage in such a way that the two sides will continue to talk, they will continue to disagree in a positive way. Because when you find anybody around you agreeing with anywhere, you just need some people to challenge the status quo. That's a conflict. And once you know that it's not backward looking, it's not dividing people, it's functional, it's not talking about people, but the issue around, don't let that conflict die. Let it continue because it's taking you somewhere. So dysfunctional conflicts are to be resolved while effectively managing good conflicts, which engender solidarity, engender greater team spirit and progress. Do we have any question that you want me to address at this point, or anything to shed more light on? I think that's time. This is the time to do that. I'm open to questions now. Okay. It's like nobody's really asking any question at this point.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, please.
Okay, perfect. Well, I have a bunch of questions to ask you. So
All
I
right,
actually
please.
do
Let's
have questions to ask that would I'm sure maybe they don't have questions right now, but I'm sure asking this, right, they will get some clarity and get some understanding of all that you've spoken of. Something very interesting that you said
Wow, I think your network
that
is not very good.
I've never heard it that way is that co- like conflicts, like when people always speak about conflicts, like, oh, we just have to stop the conflict, we have to just, but I never as conflict being good, right? Conflict being constructive. Because every time people say, oh, let's just stop fighting, let's just stop this. But oh, let's like we need to sort this out so that we can progress and move to the next level. So you have just and I said, oh, conflict is a great thing if the if it's handled properly. And thank you very much, sir, 'cause I've actually learned a lot while
Okay.
listening to you. Right.
All right. Okay. Favor. I don't know if you have finished, but I didn't really get what you are saying because of your network, I guess. But if I made some sense from what you said, I think you started by saying that all you've been hearing till now is that conflict is bad. Conflict is bad. There's nothing good about conflict, but I was able to bring it out to you that there are some conflicts that are good. I mean, there are some qualities you can see in particular conflict. If it's forward looking, if it's not dividing people, and again, if it's not about the people, it's about the issue, then you said you have never had it that way. Yeah, it's true. Conflict is good. Conflict is good. Without conflict, people cannot move forward. The only reason why you have a spark is because there's a friction. I mean, Matches will not light itself. It's when you now take a matchstick, you now spark it on the back of the matchbox. There's a friction, there's a conflict. They are like this. And you have fire. And you need fire for so many things. That's the principle of conflict. When there's no friction, there's no movement. When you are walking, every step you take, you are putting your leg on the face of the earth. You are like, I mean, they are like fighting. But without doing, you cannot move forward. So they are good conflict. Now it's the work of the leader to ensure that he recognizes conflict that are good. I mean, because somebody is always disagreeing with you, it's not because they are bad. It's just because you know what they are saying, and you have to prove to them that, well, you have a better idea. If you such person down, if you shut them down entirely, that good perspective, which is not like your own every time, you will lose it. You won't have it again. So when conflict is good, when it's forward-looking, when it's not about people, it's about the issue. When it's constructive, they don't have to agree with you. But as a leader, if you know that is a good one, you encourage it, you manage it in such a way that it doesn't spill out to be fight or what. That's work of a manager manages people. You manage them in such a way that that conflict, you sustain it. That kind of disagreement that's constructive, you sustain it so that you can have progress. But if you don't want conflict at all, you can't change what you are doing. Somebody must come to challenge what's on ground, and that's what we call conflict. Then you have to manage that so that you can get better results. You understand? So I am so glad that at least you saw that today, that not all conflict is bad, and not all conflict that you remove. If you keep on doing that, the person is insecure. That's what insecure people do. If you are very insecure, no security, you don't trust yourself, maybe you are afraid that people will bring stronger argument. You just shut them down with your power. No, 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 you don't do that. A leader must have a large heart to accept conflict. The first he wants to measure that conflict. If it's constructive, please sustain it. But if it's not good, you can make sure that that one doesn't fly. So I think I answered the question, or I contributed more on that. All right. Any other? Okay. So as I said, then again, in resolving conflict, you have steps. Call the two people, or you and the other person. Make sure you air one another out. Don't be biased. Just help yourself not to be biased, because it's the issue you want to look at, not why conflicts keep on coming up again is because those who are supposed to resolve them, they don't look at the issues. They look at the personalities and the behavior of the people. No, look at what's on ground. And I'll give you an example. For example, you walk in a place and there's a coffee maker, a coffee maker. Then you go there. The last person that used that coffee maker to make coffee did not wipe it out properly, so you are not able to get your coffee. So when you got there, instead of you to look at the reason why you didn't have your coffee at the time you want to have it, the first thing you jump at is how that person is lazy, how you have noticed that that person is never concentrating, how that person does not do anything well. Then you are starting a bad conflict. A good one, a person wants to start a good conflict. We want to see why this thing is not working again. Don't look at the person that caused it to happen. Just look at why. What's wrong with it at this time? That's how you look at. That's the mindset you must have for a conflict. Your purpose is to get a coffee. I'm not getting the coffee now. Why is it not working? Oh, now you cannot trace it to it's because so and so did it. You know how you can be wrong. Probably the person that kept that coffee not working at that time just got a call, and he had to abandon that coffee, an emergency call, and they ran away from the coffee pot. So she was not able to wipe it. Now you have had a very bad conception about the person that is lady, that is lazy. It doesn't put every other person in consideration without you exactly knowing what caused it. So in resolving conflict, don't first look at the behavior of people, look at the issue. The issue is that you want your coffee at the right time. And if you want to resolve it that that person will get their coffee without talking about the other person that spoiled it or that was not able to put it on. Don't talk about people's behavior. Talk about issue on ground. That's how you effectively deal with conflict and you resolve conflict. And of course, as an arbitrator, be impartial. One time or the other, you'll be called to talk about things. They will say this one is fighting. This one. Now, please, what do you say about it? I beg you, don't be partial. The moment you are partial, you have lost credibility as an arbiter. You have lost credibility as a mediator. Don't be partial. Say the truth about the issue and look for resolution for it to it. That's what we do when we deal with conflicts. And of course, without conflict, there can never be any progress. All right.
Hello, sir. So sorry about the glitch in my network. I hope it is better now. But I am back to ask more and more questions. Okay, we have some questions here in the comments. Hello, sir. Are you still with us? Are you still there?
Is attacking you deliberately.
I hope
How do you manage that?
you guys had a, you
Hello?
guys learned a lot because I did learn. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And also, please let's thank right. Let's thank our
Yeah.
speaker for and teach us more about conflict. Learned a lot in terms of stop this every fighting. Like should be approached that it helps the communication. Like exactly what it
Uh, uh,
is that you are saying. It
okay, favor. Let me just, there's a question here right on my screen from Aditayo Mayowa. They say, as a leader, when you feel, right, the word feel there is something else. When you feel someone is attacking you deliberately, how do you manage it? There are so many things playing out in this question. Feeling can be deceptive. I mean, feeling cannot be right at times. Feeling are wrong. Your feeling can be wrong because of your perspective about the person. I mean, someone you really like and say some things, um, 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 you won't feel offended. But maybe someone you don't really like say the same thing and you feel offended. So feeling at times cannot be the true measure of the intention of the person that you think is attacking you. So you yourself, you have to be very, as a leader, you must ensure that you are not biased. You are not biased. I mean, when you are leading a group of people, there's no way. It's very hard not to have favorites, and that's been very practical. You can have some people that really deliver on their on their on their assignment, or you just like the kind of how they do their things. So you can have favorite, but as a leader, you must manage that. You know, so you want to check yourself first. If the feeling you are having is a right one, is a genuine one, or it's not colored by your bias. Oh, it can really, really happen. There are some people that maybe because of the brush you had with them, whenever they say a thing, you take it negatively. You have to really deal with that. A leader must deal with that. You know, you have to grow beyond all that. Now, let me go to your question. Now, let's assume that your feeling is genuine. I mean, the vibes you are getting is genuine, and this person is just attacking you deliberately. Now, the test is that is the person attacking your person or your views? It's different. If the person is attacking your personality, that's a bad one. But if the person is attacking your views, then you should reconsider your view on it. Consider if your view is a superior argument, or is what you think people should think is a vision of what you are supposed to lead on. You know, so then I assume that you now think that that attack is on your person and is deliberate. Then that's a conflict that you must resolve. Call the person, talk to the person, let the person know that you don't hate them, you are not against them. Because why some people attack other people is because they feel threatened. You cannot imagine how people are afraid of other people. You don't know what is in their head. I'm a leader in so many fronts. There are some people that don't understand you, and inside of them, in them, they are a bit afraid of you. They have made judgment about you. Then call that person, be open to that person, allay their fears. A leader must be large-hearted. You must have a very large heart. You know, you have to be able to call them in humility, tell them why you believe they are attacking you unnecessarily. Let the person know your views and be clear about. Don't be proud. Let them know that you don't really hate them. It's because of the work. I tell you, if you can do that, really, most times you don't have to do it twice. Honest from experience, you don't have to do it twice. They will just stop the attack. But if the attack is not on your person but on your views, on the way you see what they are seeing wrongly, if it's about the issue, then please, you don't want to stop that. You just ensure that you call them again, you tell them about your views, not about your person. The moment, and if you see their views better than your own, please take their stronger argument and move on. That could be a good conflict. So, finally, when people are tired, don't take it as a bad one. Call them first. Communication is key. Why are you doing this to me? Let me explain myself to you. This is why I did this. This is why I did this. The moment they say, they will stop. But if it continues on your person, then you have to really find a way of ending that conflict. If it continues, probably you cannot work together for a long time, or you make the person work in some other areas where you don't come to brush one another so often, because that one is a bad conflict. But as a leader, be humble enough to explain yourself to the person first, then you know what to do from there. I believe I answered the question. Okay. How much I wish we asked more questions. Was that? Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Welcome.
I guess people are still putting their questions
Okay.
because it's about conflict management and resolution. So maybe it's
Right.
conflicting in their mind.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, sir. Bringing a bit where so network has
I really
been
get
shaky
I
a
really
bit.
get a lot from
Please,
your
you
session, sir.
do have more
It's
questions for because I was really paying a lot of
okay.
attention.
Favor, go ahead.
Yes. While they are putting the questions,
Favor, go ahead. Go ahead with your questions.
yeah. While they are putting
I'm
together their
sorry.
questions, I will ask the questions that I have. Um. So the next question that
Okay.
I have for you is: what are some common mistakes leaders should avoid when trying to resolve conflict?
Oh,
So, what are some
things
common
to
mistakes
avoid.
leaders should avoid when trying to resolve
Oh,
conflict?
yes. Okay. Thank you. Number one is that don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to resolve conflicts. If you are in a hurry to resolve conflicts, you
Hope
will
I
not
wasn't
get
locked off again.
to the reason,
Okay,
the
can you
reason
hear me?
for the conflict. Because I can hear you. Can you hear me? Um, can you hear me in favor? I don't know if others can hear me, but I believe they can
I
hear
can
me.
hear you, sir. I think
Okay,
our
right.
network
Some common
is lagging.
mistakes leaders should avoid when trying to resolve conflict.
Yes, yes, if you can hear me now. The first one is that
Yeah.
you must be able, you don't resolve conflict in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to resolve a conflict. You know why that is important is that
How so? Are you still
you will not get the
okay?
reason for the conflict. Yes,
Okay.
if you are in so much in a hurry to resolve a conflict, you'll not get the reason why you have that conflict. Because people tend to hide the very reason why there's conflict. They will tell you so many things. So if you are not careful and you just want to rush and resolve it so everybody can
Mm,
kumbaya,
okay.
everybody go well, you won't get the reason for the conflict. So number one, an important thing is patience. Be patient in conflict resolution. That's number one. Then number two is that don't be biased. Don't be biased. If the moment you know you are going to be biased to one person, please look for another person that can resolve that conflict. I mean, if it's a very serious matter. So you cannot afford to be biased when we are resolving conflict. Your mind must be open. You must be open-minded. You just want to follow the flow. And as you are doing that, number three mistake people do is that they don't listen well. They don't listen because conflict resolution is about effective communication. If you don't reason well, you will not know what to do about a conflict. So you must be a good listener. You must listen more than you speak. You must listen more than you speak. That's important. Then the third thing that the mistake people do in resolving conflict is that they look at conflict from the perspective of the people, not the issue. When you look at the issue, no matter what happened, you will ensure that the person that was wrong, you tell him is wrong because it's the issue you are looking at, not the person. But in so many times, people don't look at the issue on ground. Look at the personality of the people on ground, how they are close to them. So don't look at the issue. Look, don't look at the person. Look at the issue. And finally, as a conflict resolutor or resolver or manager, get there be a plan. Because if you resolve a conflict today, you must follow it up. That doesn't come up again.
Right.
or if it's a good to ensure that you really get what you want from it. I believe that answers your question, Favor. Sorry.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Certain
All
things,
right.
right? So you have to focus on
Yeah.
the issue, not the person. Okay,
Yes.
so another question that I have, I have many questions for you today. Okay, so the next one that I have for you is how can
Yeah.
leaders foster a culture of accountability where team members take responsibility for their actions and work towards resolving conflicts constructively in such a way, even in your absence, right? Even in the leader's absence, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has done things in such a way that his team members, right, they now take responsibility for their actions
Mm-hmm.
and and are always ready to resolve conflicts, right? Or yeah, resolve conflicts constructively. Like how does a leader create that type of environment in their organization or in their team? How do you foster such a
Just one
culture?
minute, please. I'll get back.
Okay, all right.
That's
While
right.
he
Yes. Yes. No, I'm back. I'm back. All right. Let me continue. All
Okay,
right.
all right.
Yeah. As a leader, you have said a lot of things there. In your absence, those who you lead, they must be able to be responsible enough, to resolve conflict, even when you're not there to do the right thing, and to know that you'll be held accountable for whatever wrong they did. Number one thing is that you must be a leader that your followers trust for you to do that. They must have looked at you, trusted you that you are not a biased leader. You're a leader that holds yourself to accountability. It must be a leader that you lead by example.
Right.
If you're not a leader that lead by example, the moment you're out of town, they will do whatever they want to do. So they must see you as a leader that leads by example, a leader that holds ourselves to accountability, and you are transparent.
Mm.
That's those go together. And they must have seen you, they must have studied you the way you resolve conflict, that it was effective, it was not biased, it was about the issue. I tell you, if they study you like that for about 6 months and they see you, if you're out of the business, they too they will do the same thing
Mm.
because you have mentored them and they have seen it in you. But if they have not seen that in you, the moment you are away, they will do whatever they want to do. You just come and make chaos.
Mm.
So as a leader, you must lead by example. They must know that you hold yourself accountable to whatever you do, and they must have seen in you that you are not biased. Once you do that, then you can sleep well and commit things to their hands. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I hope you guys are paying serious attention to this question because now, after listening to his answer, it's taking me back to the things that we learned about, like from the first week, right? The type of leaders, this type of leadership, that type of leadership, right? So where you come and you understand, right? Like my key takeaway from this question is leadership by example, right? So you need to lead by example for you to get that desired effect from your leaders. And we talked about that like from the first week. So I hope understanding and seeing the connection between all the topics, all the things for each training. Thank you very much, sir.
Even I
Okay,
think
so
I have a
now I
question
think
to
this.
ask our guest speaker
Oh, all right, great.
before it's done. Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I'm with my presently I'm with my jotting notes and pen,
All right.
and I've gained a lot from your session, sir. Thank you very much again, sir. I want to ask, sir, when sometimes conflicts are emotionally charged. When personal feelings is involved in a conflict, how can one resolve that conflict without being like with being fair? when personal feelings is involved in the conflict.
Yeah. That's a
Do you
very
get my question, sir?
yeah, I get it.
Nice
That's a
Okay,
question.
very,
sir.
very practical question. Um, you see, what can bring number one, you see, in conflict resolution, you have two parties. And
Right.
I want to think that your question now is about the conflict resolver,
Yeah.
the man resolve it or the woman resolve the conflict, because that's we're talking about conflict resolution. Now, if the emotion you are talking about is from your own side, then there's a big
Mm,
problem.
mm.
You will
Okay.
never be objective about it. You will never be objective. But if the emotion is from one of the two people, always expect that, because what is causing the conflict is something that is very passionate to them. Now,
Right.
if the second situation is what we are dealing with, the two ladies, they are just emotional about whatever they're
Mm,
going through and they're shouting at one another, then you, as the resolver of the conflict, you must listen beyond the emotions.
mm,
You get what I'm
mm.
saying?
Yes, sir.
You have to listen beyond the emotions. Don't stop talking to them until you know the crux of the matter. And once you know the crux of the matter, the emotion is just secondary. Don't be swayed with emotions.
Mm.
Stand on the issue and be truthful. Yeah, solve it. But once you will understand, once you realize that you are now emotionally attached to what's happening, I think you have to step back and tell someone to be the arbiter in that particular situation.
Well, so that's
Yeah.
a very interesting answer. That's a very interesting answer to this question because so that means so there is now. I hope you guys are listening because so there's now there's a difference between listening and listening beyond the emotion. So listening is a skill, right? And I think we all need to learn that because apart from just listening to what someone is saying, you have to listen beyond, the emotion because you could have people crying or shouting or right. Wow, thank you. And I think the
Thank you
bigger
very much,
part,
sir. Thank
the
you. I
bigger part
like that
of being
practical answer.
yeah, I think the bigger part of being a leader in this case is knowing when you have to step back when your emotions are too involved, right? Thank you, sir.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes,
So we
yes,
see that
yes.
yeah, you have to step back, let somebody else take the front stage of that conflict. Okay, so I think my most important question for you today, right,
Mhm.
it's a mouthful, but this is my most important question, and I think this is my last question. Finally, maybe I'm not sure. I may have some more questions along the way, but I think this is my most important question. Um, right as we were talking about conflict, I was listening to you and then I was just thinking about right we had the election season, we had so many things happening and all of that, so we saw things like this tribe or that tribe. So my question
Mhm.
is, how do cultural differences impact conflict resolution, and what strategies can leaders use to address cultural sensitivity during conflict? Because I remember the election period, you hear, oh, this because this person is Igbo, this person is Yoruba, it cannot be this, right? It wasn't a thing of, oh, we are all Nigerians, right? We are all living here together. It was a thing of my culture this, my tribe this. So in an organization, in an office, like how does cultural difference play a role, right, in conflicts? Like how do you solve it in the first place? How does it have you had experiences where cultural differences was the real and main issue, right? It was not that, oh, this person didn't understand this person, but it was just a thing of maybe they had a stereotype of a certain tribe and things like that. So how do we approach that?
Thank you very much, Fiona, for that question. Very practical. Nigeria, let's take it from Nigeria perspective first before we go to the business or
Right.
company perspective. Nigeria is a peculiar nation because we have so many tribes. We have the
Yes.
major three tribes. Then you now have, even in that tribe, you have so many dialects.
Yes.
Now you have some other tribes which are not they are minor ones, and there are many, a lot of them. So it's a protein, and every one of them is different, and they have their
Mm,
own. proclivities. And looking at Nigerian history right from independence, we just see marginalization against some tribe or some people.
Yeah.
It happens. So there's a lot of trouble around all that. But then it can be solved. It's a leadership problem. Sorry. It's a
Mm.
leadership problem. You see, and the leadership problem is that don't let me use the vision statement or the mission statement. The
Mm.
leadership problem is the problem of patriotism.
Mm. Okay.
Our leaders, they've not shown example of patriotism, and they've not encouraged patriotism.
Mm.
What is patriotism? Patriotism is the commitment of each member of the citizenry of a nation to put the country first,
Right.
before
Right.
themselves, before their
Mm.
tribes, before their views. But that patriotism is lacking in Nigeria. And I cannot blame the people. You see, when you want to be patriotic in Nigeria, then the government as well must be ready to stick their neck for you. Now, in the US, America first, America first. American nation, if their person is trapped in any place
Mm.
and they have an information, they will use the power of the state to go after that one person to bring him back home.
Mm.
Now, to that patriotism is easy.
Right.
But you see,
Right.
when you have a place that the government cannot stick out their net for you at all,
Mm.
and you know that if my people enter, it will benefit me. You
Mm.
see people talking about tribalism. I'm not saying it's good, it's
Mm.
bad, really. But that's
Yeah.
where we are now. So it's a leadership problem. The moment
Mm.
our leaders will be patriotic enough not to be corrupt, to use
Right.
public funds for public betterment, that we can see
Mm.
in them that they take the value of the average Nigerian important,
Mm.
then people will
Mm.
not talk about their tribe. They will talk about the country.
Mm.
Now, if in the place of work now, how you can drive the same thing is to make sure that people that the vision statement and the mission
Mm.
statement of that business, which has no regard for tribe or tongue.
Mm.
It doesn't care if you're a
Right.
white man, Igbo man, Yoruba. I mean, this vision statement of the company remains the same. Ensure that everybody stand by it, not by their
Mm.
own personal interest. You have to encourage it. You have to discourage it with all the power of the organization. So if you have that, you won't have any bias. People will work for the organization regardless of their feeling, regardless of their tribe, because what you want them to do is the vision statement, the mission statement, the core values, and not their own personal feeling. So we need to be educated
Mm.
again in Nigeria on patriotism. Not only education, but by example from our leaders.
Right.
Nigerian
Mm.
problem is a leadership problem. Oh, yeah, it is. It is ab initio, fundamentally, ultimately, a leadership problem. And I'm so glad that this this forum is a leadership forum. Once we
Yes, sir.
can have a leader that's not only transformational, but a leader that have empathy, patriotism will be easy. But when you have a leader that is not empathetic to people,
Mm.
you know, it's not transformational, it's not forward looking, there's no way people will not be saying in local, or they will be saying it's our own time, our time has come, because that's the only way they can help themselves, unfortunately. But I believe things will get better. I don't know if I answered the question at all.
Mm. Yes, yes, yes. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much because this question goes through my mind. I'm so happy that we delved a bit into I've always wanted to hear, a view on that. So I'm so happy we went into that. Thank you very much. I think that really answers the pays attention to it. So we just see how the like leadership is it's a really serious matter. It's a really big role. It affects every other part in, like, someone might say, oh, maybe this place they don't really, there's no really much thing, but for each, I believe that each and everything that we do, even if you are, you are helping someone to do this, like there is a leadership position to be played in every situation. And I think this
Yeah.
really just answers it. So we see leadership by example really plays more and more of a role at the end of the day. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I think, yeah, I think that was my biggest question for you, for you this afternoon. Um, Ayobami, are there any more questions? Any other thing? Anything else? All right. Okay, we see that saying thank you so much, sir. So if there are no more
Please,
questions,
let's
do you have
let
any
let's
questions,
let's give our speaker a
Ayobami?
round of applause. I don't have any more question for my side. I just want everybody to applaud our speaker because he has really
Yes,
said a
no,
lot,
absolutely.
and
I'm
we've gained
so
a
happy
lot.
to have you.
So please let's
You know,
applaud him by sending emojis any which way,
I'm
please. Let's do that.
I'm so
Okay.
proud. I'm so proud.
All
I'm so
right.
proud. As
Thank
you
you,
guys know, this
guys.
is my pastor. So like, this is what this we have of this in church, so you can see. This is
So you've been
Yeah.
tapping from his greatness for long. Wow, wow.
that's why.
Thank you, guys. I
Thank
really
you so
appreciate
so much,
you.
sir.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you
good
so
Thank you for
much.
energy.
having us, sir. Thank you
We
for
are
having
so
us,
happy
sir.
we are so happy that you had time, you cut out your time to speak with us today.
Yeah.
We are so happy to have had you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope I've been able to tell you some new things
Thank
today anyway. That benefit
You've
you.
gained a lot. Favor,
Uh,
can you do a
yes,
little bit of summary of what he has been saying since morning, so people can still recap
yes.
and all of
So
that?
you have actually been all right, okay, no problem. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for making our time, for speaking to us. But we have learned so much. I have learned so much about everything. And so yeah, so just basically giving you guys a recap, right? So we're talking about conflicts, right? The first thing that really got to me was when he said, conflict is a great thing. At first, I was shocked. I was like, what? Like, great thing, right? I hadn't heard it in that way before, and that is why it is so important for every time that we bring this training here, you pay attention, you get your notes, because you hear different things, right? And these are people who have a lot of experiences, right? A lot of experiences, and are here to basically pass down their knowledge, pass the things that they've learned, the situation in, how they have walked around that situation. So you can see so much experience, right? And right, he said something, right, that I really paid attention. When a conflict is good, it is always focused on the issue, right? So we see that in terms of in terms of conflict, or in terms of conflict resolution. So there are certain times or certain situations where a conflict is resolved, right? If it if it is not focused on the future, if it is focused on past things, if it is focused on, let's say for example, you're paying attention to, or you're giving a type of attitude to your current boss based on what you experienced with yours, right? So resolved, right? And that is because it is based on things that happened in the past. But if we're looking at conflict that that is going to take the company or the team forward, right? That is to the future, right? Then that is a conflict that, if it is to be resolved, or if it is to be approached, it is to be approached in a manner that that basically fosters that future growth, that fosters that future correlation for that organization. Another thing I learned, and you see how in leadership everything is connected, right? There is no, this one is isolated this way, or this other concept, as everything is connected, because you see that when we are getting to conflict resolution, we see things about communication, we see things that are about you like listening, right? And these are things we've talked about certain of these things before, and now we're all the way coming back here to it again. So you see how everything in leadership, everything's connected, right? There is no one on this side, or this one is different, or you cannot put this one here. Everything is connected, right? So we see communication plays an important role. Communication, communication, because I listen, and he spoke about communication a lot of times, how you have to communicate effectively. So we see that, right, communication plays an important role. And also, I think another part that really made me pay attention is, and I think he said as well, it's also a common mistake that people make, right, that leaders make, is that they focus on the people and not the issue. Right, you need to focus on the issue and not, oh, maybe this person, maybe you saw this person somewhere, you didn't like how they acted, and then you're using that to, to base their character, or base whatever it is that you're trying to resolve. So focus on the issue, not the person, not their character, not what you think or thought they did or they didn't do. On the issue, that's the best way to resolve conflict. And also, I think one of my favorites is listen beyond emotions, right? Listen beyond the emotion, listen beyond the shouts, the screaming, the crying, the excitement. Listen beyond the emotion, and basically look at whatever conflict, look at whatever situation objectively, because it is when you look at it objectively without involving yourself in that the the conflict becomes, you are able to resolve it constructively. And another thing is leadership by example. We've been saying this from the beginning of this training, and we are here. This is we're actually almost getting to the end of this training. I'm a bit sad. It has been fun, all these sessions. And leadership by example is another thing that has followed us from the beginning all the way down here. Right. So you need to lead by example, right? So when you lead by example, your team, your the people they are working with, they will see, okay, this is how our leader behaves, right? And they'll be like, okay, then we can emulate this character, we can emulate this type of attitude, so that we can also approach situations the way he or she does, right? We can do things in that same way and in that same manner. So that's basically what we spoke about today. Conflict, conflict resolution. And to me, I had a wonderful time. Right. I asked so many questions, right? So many questions, and got wonderful answers to them. So yeah, that's basically my review.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Favor. Even though I actually have to be jotting some things that I maybe I missed during the session. Like you are the
Right.
best in what you do. Like I must say that. So to include some things she didn't mention, our speaker also mentioned about good conflicts and bad conflicts. Don't run away from
Right.
conflicts. There are some conflicts that are good,
Right.
and there are some conflicts that can be bad. And these good
Mm.
conflicts, like when there is a good conflict, that means it's like it's meant to be resoluted, like it's meant to be resolved, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, good conflict needs to be managed, right? Bad conflict needs to be resolved. I think I get that right. Okay, when there is a good conflict, then you actually have to manage it. Maybe when you're actually arguing constructively about progress of your team, then you actually have to manage the conflict. But when there is bad conflict, then you have to resolve the conflict. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we've gained a lot from our speaker. Please let's send different emoji to actually round it up. And if you've not been following us across all social media platforms, the time to do that is now. It's actually showing on our screen right now. Please let's follow Ivy Leader across all social media platforms. I think that's that from my side. If
Uh, all right,
okay,
guys. Thank you. So I have to leave now.
thank
I
you
have
very
to
much.
attend to
Thank you
something
very
right
much,
now.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. We are so
Been
Yeah.
happy
a
to have you,
pleasure.
sir.
All right. It's
Thank
been
you,
a
sir.
pleasure. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir.
All right.
So, favor
Be safe.
over to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. We're so happy to have you here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So
Oh
the
my guys.
the
I
the
really
social
do,
media platform is showing
like I
on our
said, I like
screen.
speaking to my partner. Yes, yes. You guys should subscribe. You guys should follow us. You guys should, talk for this space, because we keep giving you guys this back, and like we're almost done. And like, in fact, I don't even know if I should say I'm happy, right? Is a bunch of emotions from me. But I know that this has been having
Next
this
week is
training
going
has
next
been
week. We are going to round
so
it up next week, right?
it has been so impactful for me. Like I have learned a lot. Like I've had, right? Yes, like
I said we are rounding it up next week,
I'm a bunch
so
of
it's going to be
emotions.
very
I'm a
very
bunch of
interactive
emotions.
than
Like I mean,
this.
how do you feel? Oh yes, and you I
So
know that you guys expected to see John. Like this is like I can imagine. So this is let me know. You know what? Please introduce yourself to my people. They know me. I'm their girl, so they don't know you. This is their first time seeing your face on their screen, right? It's John they know.
this okay, this may be your first time seeing my face, but you've been seeing my pen for a long
Yes.
time. Okay, this is the physical appearance of Adat Abdulhamid Tadeshe, the PL team head. Um, so I will just say that there are some things I actually want to share gifts here. If people actually indicate before the end of this session, I want to share some things. Maybe, but anyways, people are not interested in gifts, so I think we should just scrap that. Or what do you think, Favor?
Okay, guys, you met my hello, my co-host today, right? This is Ayobami, right? Know I know you guys may or may not be missing John. I don't know. You guys can put that in the chat afterwards. But like, yeah. So this was my co-host today. So I'm head of the PR team. Always. And so I you guys had an awesome and thing now.
Okay, thank you very much. Next week,
I'm
tell a friend
excited
to bring another
and
friend
I'm
to
sad. Like
the
we're
closing
getting. You guys
training.
like the next one, the last one for is the last training.
So if everybody has been missing the past one we've been doing, the next one you should not miss it for anything. You should not miss it for anything. Please,
Okay.
let's come with our friends and we gain a
Well,
lot. So thank you very much.
right. So we spoke about conflicts, right? We talked, right? Yes, exactly. For no reason. It just keeps getting interesting and interesting. Yeah. Okay, guys. So now we are going to be going. I'm so happy to have had you guys here with us today, and and I hope that you guys join us last one, right? Next, and it has been awesome having you guys. It has been awesome being your host, your anchor. You guys have given me the energy that I've always. Thank you guys for that, right? So I will be seeing you guys for the last one of this training. All right. Have a wonderful Saturday. Enjoy yourself.
And we are going to be ending it with our
And I believe
favorite soundtrack.
I've had you guys here with us today, and I pray.